Hey gang, so I'm the good dog out with my buddy Georgie. Nice walk here today in NOLA. Anyways, let's talk about the nervous bully. I've talked about this a bunch of times, and a lot of trainers have talked about this, and I think it's a concept that's hard for a lot of owners to wrap their heads around, that they could have a nervous, insecure, even super fearful dog that's also a bratty, pushy, entitled bully. It seems to contradict so much that you shouldn't be able to have one and the other simultaneously, right? If a dog is really fearful and insecure, it shouldn't be bullying. It should be like, now, and I know all the smarty pantses out there are like, well, you know, bullies in the human world are insecure. No, I get it. I'm well aware. I'm just saying that making that low bushes, got some foliage action. Making that connection for owners with their dogs is less obvious than it is for humans with humans in the bullying world. But there's a lot of parallels. The only difference I would suggest when it comes to canine bullies, entitled little princes, brats who are highly insecure, highly nervous, highly fearful, is that they're usually created by their owners who feel bad for them being insecure, nervous, and fearful. So they feel bad about setting boundaries. They feel bad about having rules. They feel bad for sure about any accountability or consequences for any poor choices, because after all, the dog's nervous, insecure, fearful, and it's a mess. And like, you know, my heart breaks to even think about like having to make my troubled dog's world any worse, which is the thought process, I think, most of the time. Problem is that you're taking a nervous, insecure, fearful dog, and then you're giving him the keys to the castle, the keys to the decision castle, the keys to I'll make my decisions castle. So you might find, I mean, this can manifest in a million different ways, but you might find that the fearful, nervous, insecure dog, it's gonna get loud down here, starts to demand certain areas of the house off limits, certain areas, certain piece of furniture off limits. What else might they do? Of course, they might get super, somebody's waving to me, I'm not sure what's going on, but hi.
Hey people, welcome to the bougie hood.
All right.
It used to not be bougie, but now it is.
Well,
I know, I live here.
where were we after all? In this bougie hood, you know, this bougie hood that's all cracked pavement and beat to shit places. You know, we need to take it down a couple notches, because like the porta potties I see up ahead and the cracked pavement that you could fall into and never be found in, you know, it's getting too fancy. Anyways, so hi. We got a live situation out here today. Anyways, sorry, trying to keep it on track. So you might find that your dog is protecting, your fearful dog, nervous dog, insecure dog is guarding spaces, protecting spaces, overly territorial. That's a super common one. Possessive of you, protective of you. Startle responses that are off the charts, meaning you wake the dog up and the dog flips out and starts biting and being snarly and nasty, you know, that whole thing. So it can manifest in a ton of ways like that. It can manifest where they're absolutely reactive maniacs on walks. It can, man, it just, the list goes on and on. If you think about coupling an insecure animal with no guidance, no leadership, no consequences for poor choices, and then try and filter that through and think about, well, what would an insecure, nervous, fearful dog do in all these different contexts that would best serve them, you can see how that can lead to a million different places that are not good. So the answer, or to sum up, I should say, is that you can absolutely have an insecure, nervous, fearful dog that is also simultaneously a bratty, entitled little tyrant, bully. And so, like I said, the top, before I get distracted by Bougie Town, is that most of the time it's created specifically because owners feel bad for their dogs because of the state that they're in. So you take a dog who would be, and I've said this a million times for a million years, it's like, I would rather have a fearful, no, let me see if I can dig this one out, how I used to say it. If I have to have a choice between a nervous, insecure, fearful dog that makes their own decisions and a nervous, insecure, fearful dog who listens to me, I want them to listen to me. Because the chances of them making good choices on their own, next to none, right? That should be fairly clear. But when you not only don't lead and don't give them that guidance, don't give them the information, don't give them the structure, don't give them the rules, don't let them know what to do, what not to do, but you actually actively encourage and coddle and overly nurture these insecure, nervous, fearful dogs, you start turning these little guys that are worried about the world, or gals that are worried about the world, into little tyrants that then start finding, okay, what's the best way for me to create a world that best suits my needs? Because I'm an insecure, nervous, fearful dog. So that means nobody fucking comes in the house. Nobody gets near my owner. Nobody gets on this couch on this fucking cushion. Nobody better fucking wake me up. That dog across the street, you better get the fuck out of here because I don't want anything to do with you. Right? And it can be also very innocent. So like I'm giving it a bit of a flavor of like pushy tyrant bully, but it can also have the flavor of just overwhelmed, freaked out, afraid, nervous, right? About all those situations. Somebody coming in the house, oh God, I don't know what to do. I'll do my doggy thing and like bark, bark, bark and charge and then run away, or a dog on the walk that I see I'm worried about, so I'll bark, bark, bark and hopefully it'll go away. So, right, it runs the gamut. It doesn't mean that the dog is automatically going to be a bruiser and a pushy bully. They could just be a basket case. But I want to make sure that everybody's aware that nervous, insecure, fearful dogs can have all sorts of other things, emotional, personality, behavioral traits that coexist simultaneously with the nervous, insecure, fearful dog that don't seem to make any sense. And most of the time it's created, if not all the time, by us, sorry if it's loud, by us coddling these dogs because we feel bad for them. So, do you want a nervous, insecure, fearful dog making their own decisions and figuring out how they want the world to run to best suit their unfortunately baggage-heavy existence? Or do you want a nervous, insecure, fearful dog that's going to listen to you because you know best? And even if they're nervous, insecure, fearful, freaked out, overwhelmed, they make their best decisions. Bougie Town. Jazz in the morning, you know you've gone bougie. That they make their best decisions based upon what your demands are, what your rules are, what your structure is, what your accountability is that you share with them. And then they actually start to impede, they start to inhibit behaviors that might be very unsavory behaviors, or behaviors that might get encouraged or reinforced to turn into really nasty behaviors. So either let alone or reinforced, they both go sideways. So hopefully this makes sense. Yes, you can have a nervous, insecure, fearful dog, and yes, they can be a total bratty, entitled tyrant. Hope that helps. Show them the good dog. Got a little sprinkling coming down. I gotta race my behind home, see if I can beat the storm. Hope you guys are good. Any questions, hit me up below. Talk soon. Bye.